Hey guys, we're back and we're frog fishing. Guys, we're frog fishing. That's what we're talking about. But we're not even just frog fishing today. We're talking about frogs. And what else are we talking about? The popping perch, okay? This is going to be one that I think is going to get a lot of comments, and I bet you a lot of people don't even agree with me on this, and that's okay. But I'm going to tell y'all what I think. This is years and years and years of fishing a frog. I grew up, look around me guys, I live in the frog country, capital of the world probably. It's why Strike King gave me a lot of reign on developing this popping perch and really kind of taking over the pad perch and the pipsqueak, trying to design the best frog. And there's a reason why. There's a reason why I took all these things that I've learned over years of losing fish, missing fish, what they're actually going on, and put them in this one bait. So I'm going to explain all that. But here's the thing guys, it's a series. I can't get it all done in one series. So we're gonna kind of talk about a couple different things. We're kind of gonna go, the first one, this is today's myths of frog fishing. I'm going to talk to y'all about the things I've heard over the years, and I kind of don't necessarily agree with a lot of things I've heard. So we're gonna dive into that. Hopefully that one's gonna be a good one. Hopefully y'all don't just go crazy and nuts over some of this stuff. The second one is the design of this, why I designed it a certain way. There might be even some myths in how it's designed and why I think it is, how it kind of works. And the third one's going to be kind of more or less how you work it, how you catch fish on it, setting the hook, set up, stuff like that. So I'm thinking it's going to be like a 3-part series, guys. So this is series 1. Let's kind of dive right on into it. And guys, hey, thank y'all once again. Everything's going really good. Channel's growing. It's from all y'all, all the support. I've had a good time doing all this, guys. So please subscribe. I love answering all y'all's comments. Y'all do a great job on that. Y'all come up with these great ideas. This is kind of from some of y'all, commenting on this and why I'm doing this. So let's kind of get on in, guys. Let's do it. I'm gonna start off with probably the biggest myth I find. How long do you wait to set the hook? I have heard everything. I have heard fast, slow, wait a second and a half, 2 seconds, wait till you feel them, wait till you do that. All these different things. And here's the deal, guys. This is it. I set the hook as quick as possible most of the time. And here's why. I've been throwing these things for years. Here's the biggest myth. It is impossible. Guys, I'm saying this again. Impossible. I can't stress this enough. To set the hook quicker than a fish can actually eat this. Now, with that being said, if a fish bites this, you cannot set the hook fast enough. It's impossible. They are quicker than you. They are faster than you. You do not have the quickest reaction time. It takes too long. Doesn't mean you should always necessarily set the hook quick as fast as you can, but it doesn't mean that when the guys are like, oh, you set the hook too fast, that's not necessarily true. Like I said, when they're eating it, and if they eat it, you're good to go to set the hook as fast as you want to. A couple of reasons why you should possibly wait to set the hook. One, if they do miss it, and you don't really know if they missed it or not, and you set the hook, it is definitely easier to catch a fish after it has missed while your bait's still in the water. You have a way better chance of catching it if your bait never moved. You can throw back in there and catch some, but it gets harder. It's definitely harder. I would much rather have that opportunity to catch it while my bait's still there. They seem to eat it better like that. 2, that's pretty much the main reason. Other reasons to set the hook is if you're fishing in cover. Okay, and so what we got back here is like a lot of dollar pads. Sometimes you have grass, sometimes you have pads. You have a lot of different things. A lot of people want to wait till they feel fish pulling. That's okay in open water. I don't really mind that. I don't mind if you want to wait that long. I will say, after years of shaking fish off, and what I mean by that is, when I fish tournaments so much, 9 times out of 10, I'm never setting the hook on a fish if it's not in a tournament. And most time I'm practicing. So I've spent almost more times shaking a fish off than actually hooking it. I know as opposed to worms and a lot of other baits, they will spit this thing a lot quicker than you think. I've had them stay on there for 30 seconds, but I've also had them stay on there a second and a half. So I don't really want to wait too long. If I instantly think it's on there, I'm setting the hook. The reason you sometimes wait in pads and things like that is you'll feel things, okay? And over the years, what I've found out is when one blows up on it, especially the bigger the ones they are, pads and everything else, this is, you know, around pads or dollar pads or hay or whatever. And when they come up and hit it, if they miss, maybe it's a 5-pounder and it's moving things, right? And it's pulling and hitting your frog, and it's amazing what you can feel with this thing. So a lot of times you're feeling stuff, but it's actually the things around it pulling and pushing your frog, pop and perch, and you feel something that feels like a fish, okay? And you set the hook. So that's kind of sometimes you might want to see if they're really on there, especially in like really, really heavy cover, before you set the hook. But like I said, guys, I use what I call the 3 things that I will set the hook on. First is definitely feel, okay? If I feel it, and sometimes I can feel it quicker than anything else. I mean, sometimes like as they're blowing up, man, they already have it, and you're feeling them as they go away from you or whatever. So feel sometimes comes before even sight, because like before you can even react to something to see if it's got it, you're already feeling it on there. So I'll usually go off of feel first, or that's sometimes my quickest way of setting the hook. I don't feel them all the time though, when it's initial like that. But that's kind of what happens. 2 is sight, okay? I'm always looking at my frog, right? And so I'm always watching this thing. And if you notice, we've also made some frogs. Let me get one out for you. Bottoms up. And the reason we made this color is because so many people like to throw a dark frog, a black one, right? The problem is you can't see it a lot of times when they blow up, especially in the mornings, a dark lake, whatever. I mean, this is just the hardest color to see. So we put that yellow on top, that chartreuse. Well, that lets you really see your bait. Let me tell you something. When that chartreuse is gone, guys, set the hook. I mean, it's probably now the hardest one we could ever see is now the easiest one we could ever see. So we've tried to fix some things on being able to see them. But my eyesight, that's why I'm always wearing my Costas. I'm always watching. And if I see it disappear without ever feeling it, I set the hook. I don't care if it's in a split second. The third one, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, maybe this isn't even real, but I'm gonna tell y'all, sound. There are times when you can hear them eat it. And I know this is gonna sound crazy, but just think about this. We always kind of hear, especially in pads, and I think it came along a lot with pads. You hear perch out there all the time, right? Sucking at them pads, and you hear them out there. You hear, you know, we all listen for those perch when we're frog fishing. That's them sucking air and things and stuff underneath them pads, and you can hear it really, really well. Well, if you've been out there frog fishing for forever, sometimes you can hear that sucking sound. You can hear them actually inhale air, water, your frog, and everything when they come up and eat it. It doesn't happen all the time. You might only hear it once or twice, but sometimes it's like if you do it enough, you'll hear that sound, man. And like when I hear that sound, like it's like 100%, it ate it. I know for a fact when I hear that sound, it ate it. So sometimes I hear that and set the hook. So those are the things, those are the reasons why I set the hook. Now, I have been in a lot of clear water situations, guys. And so I don't use the whole 1 second, 2 second, do any of that stuff. The first I already told you, if they will spit this thing, and I'm talking about this, any frog, quickly at times, right? They just do. It's not a bait that they hold on to. I mean, I've Carolina rigged, I've thrown a Senko. I mean, sometimes you can't, like, you'll gut hook one of those, right? I've never seen a fish ever in my life with a frog gut hook themselves. They will let it go every single time, okay? And by the way, guys, practice fishing is sometimes some of the best ways to learn how to detect bites and do certain things. I'm gonna throw that in there. That's your tip of the video. I've seen some fish come up there and eat, okay? And I've seen them eat it like this. I've seen them eat it like this, and they're swimming off with that bait like this in their mouths, like this, like this. I've seen it all. I will usually feed them line as much as possible. Once a year I've seen this happen, where one will bite it, swim off with it. Sometimes you can shake it or do something and they'll inhale it. We're talking not even 1% of the time. It happens like very rarely. So it can happen where they will swim off with it and eventually eat the whole thing. Chances are, though, almost all the ones I've ever seen when they do that, they just swim off with it and eventually let it go. So that whole deal of, hey, I see it go underwater and I waited long enough and I set the hook and I didn't catch anything, there's nothing you did wrong. Guys, we're still throwing topwater baits. We get misses on chatterbaits, swim jigs, worms, frogs. It doesn't matter. Fish sometimes are not biting this to eat it, okay? If anyone's seen a bass in an aquarium and things, bass go up and kill things all the time. They don't care about eating them. They go put their mouths on them. They mouth them. They do all kinds of weird stuff because, sometimes bass are stupid. So they don't necessarily always eat. And that's going to happen sometimes when we're fishing. It's just more frustrating with the frog because we see it happen, rather than if you had a bite underneath the water and you saw an 8-pounder bite your worm and spit it out. And you're like, oh, I just had a bite. It'd be a little bit more frustrating when you knew that it was an 8-pounder doing that to your worm rather than a 2-pounder. Well, we get to see when it's an 8-pounder bite our frog and miss. So that's just part of it. So that's kind of one of my myths about setting the hook, how early, how late. They will eat this thing faster than you can set the hook. So put a lot of these other things into play rather than just going off of, hey, I wait 2 seconds no matter what. It's not always as simple as that, guys. So that's myth number 1. All right, guys, myth number 2. This bait is about walking the dog. Yes and no. Walking the dog and making this go slow gets bites. I think the number one thing that people mess up on is at times, and I'd probably say half the time, guys throw this too slow. This was actually built and designed to go fast, okay? And we'll talk about that in series 2. But it can go slow, but all baits should be able to go slow and work good slow. It's very hard to make them work good going fast. This bait's really easy to walk, and we're going to go into that in the next one in the design. But most of the time I hear people like, hey, how does it walk? Does it walk real good? Does it do this? There's a reason this is on the front of this thing. There's a reason it's designed the way it is. It is designed to move water and do different things. Now it can walk and walk subtle, but that's just if you're only using this to do that, you're missing of what it can possibly do. So we do a lot of pops, a lot of working it fast, a lot of making it do a lot of different things. We're going to show you that on the water later, but it's going to make a lot of different sounds. I want this thing to make as many sounds and work as unique as possible. Everyone can make one go side to side, okay? Everyone can make a bloop, bloop. I want it to do everything. I want it to spit, I want it to chug, I want it to bloop, I want it to be subtle, I want it to do a ton of different things. So that myth of, hey, how does it walk and do that? Guys, you're missing out on what this thing can actually do. So don't always get caught up on how good it walks, or just finishing it really slow and stuff. Like I said, most frog places, especially this time of the year, and I'm trying to move this thing, like, you can't move it fast enough. Like, I want this thing getting it. So that's kind of one of the myths I wanted to talk about this time. So that's myth number 2. All right, the last myth I'm going to cover is colors. What I hear about in colors is that it always shocked me. And granted, we did a phenomenal job of now making these colors. These are lifelike colors. They're so lifelike that that's what we did. We went out, took pictures of fish, and figured out a way through magic, apparently, with the way they did it, because I have no idea. They've explained it to me and I still don't get it. It's probably why we're the only company out there to this day that has figured out how to do this on a frog style bait. No other company can do this yet. So we were the first. That we actually took a print off of, you know, a picture of a fish, and this is the actual what it looks like. I mean, our newer colors are this. Now, we still have the whites and the blacks and the browns and all those things. And I've always heard, I mean, there's guys, and I'm one too, man, there were colors that people only believed in. And I have said, I have been down here in Texas, and I'll be honest with you guys, white was the best color forever. I've been in places like Arkansas and Table Rock and certain places where, like, if you're not throwing brown, it's a waste of time, right? But this is my opinion on what I've seen over the years, and guys are always really, you know, hey, if it's cloudy, throw this color. If it's you know, if the water's dirty or whatever. When we first started making colors, I really didn't care about all this little, the detail part of it. I wanted the hues, right? Sometimes it was the bright chartreuse hues. Sometimes it was the whites, the browns, the blacks. And that's how it was for a long time, and it still is like that. The only thing that's crazy different is I just don't see very many people doing it. We have a clear one, the shad spawn color, that I wanted. I wanted a clear frog because I think there were times, and guys, I'm not gonna lie, if y'all aren't throwing that one, if y'all haven't figured that one little crazy color out, that times will absolutely destroy every other color. It just will. That clear shad spawn color will make every other color look stupid at times. I'm talking like 10, 15, 20 to 1. It is amazing. So color makes a difference. Now, what I've seen over the past probably 3 or 4 years is the frog business grow. And everyone's throwing one now. So you got all these different colors, all these different things. I'm now actually seeing color make more of a difference. We have come up with a lot of colors, and I'm seeing it now actually matter. Does color matter? Yes. Did it matter years ago? It did, but not as much as what everyone thought. I mean, I really wanted something that they could see. I really didn't care about trying to trick one. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys, it's a little bit of both. They gotta be able to see it, but you kind of then have to trick them a little bit. These colors have become more into play at times, you know, over the past year, 2, 3 years. Color makes a difference, guys, and it's gonna be very critical on how you choose the right color for the right situation. But these are the myths I've heard, guys. I just wanted to share with y'all some of these things, and I might come up with some more of them. It's hard for me to always remember them. I kind of have to hear about them sometimes too, like, oh yeah. I'm not trying to discredit, or, you know, some of them I actually believe in, but there's others that I'm like, I think they're way overblown, and I don't think they're really, I don't really think they matter. So get ready. I'm gonna talk about the next video is why we built this. We're gonna go into all sorts of things of like working in the water, showing what it can do, why we designed some of the things. I will throw a myth in the next one. So here's a little tip. I'm not even gonna talk about it. I'm going to explain it in the next series. See those hooks? Take a good look, guys. Look at those hooks. The reason I want you to all show those hooks, I do not bend the hooks out on my frogs. I will never, ever, ever do that. If you do, I got a question for y'all. So tune into the next series, and I'm gonna ask y'all, if you do this, why? And then I'm gonna ask you another question, and I wanna see the comments I get. I know what I'm gonna get, but I'm just telling you, I'm gonna tell you why I will never do it, and don't think you should either. See y'all, guys.